Hi y'all, welcome to my channel, welcome to a new video. Lil Mosey, Certified Hitmaker. Album review, let's talk about it. This is the latest project from Double XL freshman himself, Lil Mosey. Fresh off the heels of some of his biggest moments in his career. He was a Double XL freshman of 2019, along with Gunna, YK Osiris, Blueface, Tierra Whack, Megan Thee Stallion, and a few others, just those to name a few. This Double XL freshman class wasn't really one of the best. Actually, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. You had very comatose freestyles and not so interesting cypher performances. Also, you had like 3 people not do a freestyle. Tierra Whack, Blueface, Gunna. Double XL had a pretty unpromising year. This year, only a few artists in the Double XL freshman class I would consider to be potential based, like Megan Thee Stallion or Rico Nasty, Tierra Whack, and maybe a few others. But for the most part, most of the people on the freshman class were one-hit wonders, or just going along with the wave that is of moody, atmospheric, or punchy trap. No one really is dropping a project that is super stellar, super fantastic. Megan Thee Stallion dropped a project this year, which I didn't really mind all that much, but it wasn't really something I would go back to. And Tierra Whack dropped a pretty interesting project last year. So going into this album, I really was hoping, man, can Lil Mosey really pull through with this one? But then I remembered his atrocious cypher and freestyle performance. Lil Mosey had probably one of the worst performances ever in the history of Double XL. It was just undescribably bad. However, I was willing to look past that going into this album. Maybe Double XL did him dirty. Maybe he wasn't all that prepared or all that ready for the freestyle. Maybe the cypher performance didn't do him justice. Going into this, I was, like I always do, unbiased, but I always try to go into an album with high hopes but low expectations. And the first track off of this album kind of surprised me a little bit. The track So Fast has this very nice production behind it. The backing vocals are pretty high-pitched, but they're not so loud. It's kind of, in the forefront of your mind. The snapping, the percussion, a lot of it's there. Lil Mosey also comes in and doesn't do that bad of a job at mumble rapping, and I mean, it's not a highlight of the year, but it's not something I would immediately pause and skip and throw away in the trash. So the first part of this song was good enough, and then the second part of the song was good enough. So I had some potential for this. Maybe he was going to do something interesting, maybe he was going to do something different, or something unique. I saw potential in Lil Mosey. And then after the second track, this album takes the biggest drop of quality I've ever seen in an album this year. Before I talk about the music on this album, I have to kind of mention that this isn't that long of a project. It's 14 songs, 35 minutes in length. However, the runtime seems a lot longer when you're trying to pay attention to this album. The more that I listened to this, the more I was just absolutely hung up on how lengthy this album sounds and feels while only being 35 minutes. I can listen to longer albums and it will go by seemingly quicker because of how interesting those albums are. This album is so abhorrently uninteresting, it's painful. It's painful to sit through. And I do kind of admire that Lil Mosey is trying to make this album seem authentically him by only having really 4 features on this album. Gunna, AJ Tracy, Chris Brown, and Trippie Redd. And surprisingly, I think the best feature on this album has to be Chris Brown. He shines on the track that he's on, maybe because Lil Mosey just sounds extremely comatose on the track. Surprisingly, almost every song on this album, even the first track on this album, Lil Mosey sounds completely comatose, completely unaware that he is being recorded. Also, my main problem with this is that it feels like a lot of songs are just remixed and repurposed. Every single song on this damn album sounds absolutely similar to the one before it and the one after it. With the exception here and there, occasionally you have a moment of, oh, okay, this is something different, this is something unique, maybe this is something interesting. And then he squanders this potential with either his bad singing or bad rapping and his poorly mixed production. It really just all cobbles together in the most unsatisfying way. Gunna still sounds like a Young Thug impersonator, but at least he has some attitude on this track. The vocal chemistry of Trippie Redd and Lil Mosey on the track Never Scared is like mixing water and oil together. They're not gonna mix no matter how hard you try. Trippie Redd's attitude and his eccentricity on the track is just horribly placed and grossly misdirected compared to what Lil Mosey is delivering on this track. Lil Mosey sounds like high out of his mind, while Trippie Redd sounds like that annoying alcoholic girl that you know at some frat party. Trippie Redd's verse is just when he goes into like his upper register, it's just very laughable. Yeah, we at your fucking lean. We tote fucking beams, we don't do fucking beans. Yeah, the lyricism on this entire album, ugh, Jesus Christ. I don't think there is a lyrical highlight on this album. Not one. Not one moment where I think, oh, Lil Mosey does clever wordplay here and there. No, this album really is meant to be in the background. Like, this is meant to be heard from, like, 3 rooms away, and you can hear it in another room, and you can, like, oh, okay, I can hear the music, but I don't know what it is, so it's fine. It sounds interesting, but I'm not gonna go over there and check it out. I guess really the only thing I can give credit to this album is the fact that maybe sometimes the production is interesting. Maybe Lil Mosey can, riff over a nice beat sometimes, as there are points on this album, moments on this album, that I don't mind listening to, mainly because they're not that offensive. However, the quality of this album is crap. The production behind it is painfully simplistic and extremely underproduced at points. There is no change in direction here or there on this entire album. And when you title your album Certified Hitmaker, you really are putting a big expectation on your project. This over here, it's definitely certified, but it's certified me throwing it away into the garbage for me to never listen to it ever again. And while I have heard worse projects this year, this is definitely one of the worst, one of the weakest albums I've had to sit through. Luckily, it's not super long, even though it feels like 3 hours of material is on this thing. It's only 35 minutes. But again, a lot of what's on this album is just painfully mediocre, extremely rudimentary, and highly uninteresting. Also, a lot of the synthesizer work on this album, again, I'll say rudimentary, basic as fuck. Okay, I'm practically done talking about this thing. I'll say all of my thoughts are boiled down to basically these 3 criticisms. Painfully boring production, super uninteresting vocals and lyrics, and very underproduced, very half-baked, very one-dimensional, very one-note of an album. And this is the time where I could even compliment Chris Brown for his feature. And you guys know my thoughts on Chris Brown. Yeah, this album is just, it was painful to sit through. It was really painful for me to sit through, at least, because just how boring, monotonous, one-dimensional this album is, it just pains me just to listen to this over and over and over again. Ugh, gosh. Okay, well, Lil Mosey is definitely not a certified hitmaker, but at the end of the day, I hope he can hopefully change, because this is bad. I mean, you can go worse, but it's pretty hard to. It's going to be pretty hard to. Lil Mosey, Certified Hitmaker, F+. Yep, it's an F+. Outro. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this album down below. Let me know what albums you want me to review next, and that is it. Leave a like, comment, share, do whatever you want. Let me know how I can improve future videos down below. And remember, this is only my opinion because music is subjective.